hi Gerrit and daughter Marike. It's very nice to meet you. So Gerrit, you are an Australian farmer and columnist for Future Farming. And Marike, you are the daughter that will eventually take over the farm from your father. Yes. So Marike and Gerrit would like to use autonomous tractors on their farm. But this is actually harder to achieve than you might think. So they are desperately looking for an autonomous supplier, an autonomous kit supplier to help them out. And in this video, you will explain the struggle you are experiencing and why it's so hard to find a supplier of autonomous tractors, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Nice. So then we will go to the first question, and that's it. Gerrit, could you tell us something about the farm? And how big is it, and what kind of crops do you grow?
Well, the farm is in New South Wales, and just south of Toowoomba. And then the farm is about 5,000 hectares of wheat we grow there, mainly cropping, 3,000 hectares of barley, 2,000 hectares of sorghum, and then about 1,500 hectares of chickpeas. So altogether 12,500 hectares. And then the land is very heavy black clay. The sloping to the west and very flat. That is nothing news for me. It's easy to work on that for the leveling. But if it is a little bit rain, you cannot do anything. And if it dries a lot, you can also not do anything. There's always a short window that we can work on that.
Yeah.
And that works not too bad. We do all the machinery do by ourselves. In the beginning, we rely on contractors. Now the contractors, it's very easy to get them if the weather is, if there's not many crops. Mm-hmm. And if it's then you have to wait the whole time, and therefore we got all the machineries from ourselves. And we have plenty of machines. Now, not many people, only 7 people in permanent employment. Now then, with 7 people, it's difficult to run 6 headers, 6 scissor bins, a couple of spray rigs, 12 tractors.
Yeah.
Therefore, we rely very heavy on backpackers and in the season, okay. and autonomous tractors. That is where we had to go. Just that is the basic thing.
So you already talked a little bit about the challenges you're facing. So what are the main major challenges you face on the farm? Maybe Marike can tell us that.
Marike is good at telling that.
Yeah, there's the rainfall is a challenge. Yeah, just like we've got about between 800 and 100 millimeters of rainfall a year. Yeah, partly due to climate change, just like worldwide. Also, Australia notices the climate change. Mm-hmm. Last year we had a good year, and the 2 years before that we hardly had a crop. So it's always somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. In order to preserve the moist in the ground, we do a few things to keep the moist in the ground. We do controlled traffic farming. So all the wheel tracks are on 3 meters. So to minimize the soil compaction, we only compact the soil on the 3 meter tram tracks. Yeah. We have implements all on 12 meters. So it's 12 meters for the combine, 24 for the planters, and the spray rigs on 24 or 48. So the wheels are always on the same tracks.
Yeah, okay.
So the soil will be less compacted and can keep the moisture better. The moisture in the ground is the main thing that we need for agriculture. We also use spot spraying in order to keep the moisture in the ground, in order to keep try to minimize the weeds on the ground. With spot spraying comes the thing that it takes more time than blanket spraying.
Mm-hmm.
So comes the next problem, staffing, because a lot of people move to the coast, so there's less staffing inland for the farm. So that's a challenge as well. Yeah, and we have to supply on the world markets. We don't get any subsidized for the crops we grow. So all the crops we have to compete against the world market prices. We have to keep the prices low as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you're saying you also have a problem with staff, and that there's just not enough people to do all the work on your farm.
Yeah. And with spot spraying, in order to spot spray, it takes more time, because you have to go over the field more often than with blanket spray. It takes less chemicals, so it's more environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
You need more. You need to work longer in order to get one field done. Yeah, it takes with a 24-meter spot sprayer, it takes 2 weeks, day and night, 7 days a week, in order to go over the field once.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's not many people who like to do that after the 2 weeks again.
No, I understand. So that's leading up to a little bit my question. So why do you want an autonomous tractor so badly? Because that's of course a little bit why what this interview is about. Because the autonomous tractor, of course, can work day and night without any people. So could you explain a little bit about that?
You want to tell how it worked when you started off farming?
Yeah, but when I starting in the beginning here, we got not many machines, not many people, and then we had to work day and night, and always one way or other reason I was just got a night shift to keep the seed warm, and sitting the whole night. Yeah, just sitting there to sit there, because we got GPS steering and everything. You not need to do anything. Just sitting there a half hour, turn on the headlamp, the machine, and a half hour waiting again, and that the whole night, and that and the next night and the next night. Yeah. And after I think what they're doing here, just that should be automatically.
Yeah.
And then we got contact with a few students in the Netherlands, and robotic, and later they got taken over by precision makers. And in a few weeks' time, or a few months' time, we got a tractor with a full autonomous system, and it did all by himself. So I could go to sleep. And only from time to time, people had to have a look there.
And if there's going all right, yeah.
Gone. And that was a big improvement. And that was enormous, it was a lot of work.
Yeah. Why does this tractor not work anymore, or why don't you use it anymore?
Yeah, the problem was working basically too good. And there's a lot of other people, factories came and had a look there. And then one moment we got the message that system makers sold all the autonomic system of tractors to John Deere. Mm-hmm. And we got no service anymore. And we could, was a few hitches got in there. We did an update on the software. And after that update, the tractor did stop from time to time, and then we could do nothing. Just that if the once in an hour the tractor stopped, we got in the meantime we got a second tractor also make autonomous. Mm-hmm. We got the second. Now when the system was sold to John Deere, we know why that. We could thinking why that the software was updated.
Yeah.
And John Deere, we was hoping that John Deere put on a new system very soon on the market, but it is just the opposite. They took it off the market. And I can understand that if it was a tractor factory, I prefer to sell iron for a good price and then just make that autonomic, because one autonomous tractor replaces 2 to 3 normal tractors.
Really too bad for you, of course, because you could really use a autonomous tractor, right? With all the labor you have on the big farm.
Yeah, if you got if somebody can deliver a tractor, we should be very happy with that.
Yeah.
And we can use, only on our farm we can use at least 2 or 3 autonomous tractors.
There are a lot of suppliers that actually make offer an autonomous retrofit kit for a tractor. So why didn't you buy one, or didn't you get one?
Yeah, we tried to buy one, but people are not really interesting to sell that here in Australia, because if you buy a unit, you need also service.
Yeah.
And it is very difficult to do service here. There must be one person from the factory that more or less is big part of the time is here. And there's not many people that make units on big tractors over 200 kilowatt. So far as we ask a few factories where say yeah, we're working on that, but we're not ready to deliver that. So we're looking for very desperately to a factory that can deliver full autonomous tractors.
Yeah, so there are not suppliers that are actually supplying in Australia as well.
No, this is working on in the future, but not in the moment.
So what is then your big request for the future farming audience?
We like to have an autonomous system on existing tractors. It can be all kind of tractors, as long as it is more than 200 kilowatt, 200, 250, 300 kilowatt. It to stand on 3-meter tracks. If possible, a cab on there. It should be full autonomous, so that you can go home and then come back the next morning. And that the unit should be still running. I see the easiest way to have a tractor with implements, that the implements control the tractor. For example, if something wrong with the spray rig, it had to stop the tractor. If the tank is nearly empty, then they had to stop on the headland. That is basically the whole thing.
Okay. Well, of course, we have this all written down on our website, futurefarming.com. So if you are a supplier and you think I can help this family, then you can look on click on the link in the description, or look at our website, futurefarming.com. There's more information there. And then you can also get in touch with Gerrit and Marike to help them out. They would really appreciate that. So if you're a supplier, you could help them out, please do. So then I would really like to thank you for this interview, Gerrit and Marike. And hopefully there's someone that will help you out, and we will keep in touch. And everyone else, thank you for watching.
Thank you very much, Tama. Thanks for getting the message out.
Thank you.
No problem.